Welcome to the Reptile Radio Extravaganza, everyone.
Welcome.
We're back again. I'm Dan.
I'm Brandon.
So, this week's episode, I thought we would talk a little bit more about frogs. Because that's something that the two of us, right around the same time, just started to really grow and appreciate. Pacman frogs, giant frogs. You know, I've had tree frogs, but they're not nearly quite the same as some of these big, fat, little horned frogs. And we also have our pixie frog, Nibbler. So we have Nibbler, Zoidberg, the apricot albino Pacman frog, and Zitz, the ornate Pacman frog, but really he's just very brown. He used to have like reds and greens and yellows, but with age it's kind of gone away. But
yeah, he's a pretty old Pacman frog.
Yeah, I've had that Pacman frog for probably 6 years now. And Zoidberg maybe about 2, and the pixie frog only about 1. Nibbler. Most of the frogs are named after Futurama characters. I also have Hypnotoad, which is a big albino female. Here, I'll show you her. And that's Hypnotoad. We just didn't keep her on the table for this one because she likes to jump and might bust out of her little tub.
Yeah, she'll jump right out of it.
Yeah, we don't want that. I'd rather keep them secured in there. But most of the time, I mean, these frogs don't really do much of anything. You know, they'll curl up in some mud just to stay warm, I guess. And you really start to see them move when food is introduced.
Oh, yeah.
And you can feed them. When they're babies, you really just want to stick to crickets and maybe like some small super worms. You know, waxworms, hornworms, something soft, easy for them to chew. And then as they start to grow, you can actually offer them pinky mice or even full-size mice.
See, that was the craziest thing when I first saw like a Pacman frog take down a mice, or a mouse. It was like, again, like one of those things that you just have to see in person. I mean, we showed people too, and it's like, you have to see this.
Mice?
Yeah, you have to see this. This
yes,
is crazy.
They do.
Yeah.
You want to watch?
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting because just how fast that they can take down a full-size mouse.
It's like two bites.
Two bites,
and
it's down to like the tip of the tail.
They got like the tail like hanging out of their
mouth.
Yeah, like
a little noodle.
Spaghetti noodle, yeah.
So it's crazy because with snakes, you know, they grab it, they wrap it up. You know,
it takes time.
Yeah, and then it's like inch by inch, just swallows it down, and then with the frogs, it's like it just sucks the whole body in just like a bite or two, and that thing is gone and wrapped up in its belly.
Yeah,
like,
and you'll see the difference like the next day. They'll be so fat. And
the frogs are just so big; they gain so much girth with eating mice and all that, and. You know, it's good for them. But I've also tried, like, Pacman frog food that comes in a little square container.
Right.
And it's a powder that you turn into, like, mush.
Just add water. And
yeah. Mm-hmm. And I try and make it a little more, like, thicker. Mm-hmm. And then you can shape it a little better. And I use the feeder tongs and feed it to them, and they love it. It's actually really good for them. And I guess it gives them, like, the same, like, you know...
nutrients
the same nutrients and like beneficial essentials for them as like a full-size mouse would.
Sure.
So they all eat very well. They're big fat frogs. They're native to South America, and I'm pretty sure the pixie frog is an African bullfrog.
African bullfrog, yeah.
So, and we got Pacman frogs first, and they were great, and we had so much fun with them, and I just thought they were the funniest looking frogs, but they were so cool at the same time.
They have so many different just like morphs and
so
like
I have an apricot albino that's got more of an orangish red.
Apricot albino is probably my favorite.
It's really cool.
That was my first, Pacman frog. He was a apricot albino.
Yeah, and we got Zoidberg. Why not? And they have so many colors. I mean, the standard is a green Pacman frog, and every green Pacman frog I've had, some reason I had trouble with it.
Yeah.
It was real small, and a lot of these I got when they were really small, and they grew just fine.
Right.
But it's kind of a risk that you take, like bringing in a fresh baby reptile or amphibian in this case. You have a hit or miss chance. It's like some of them can be great and grow really well, and then some of them, they just die off in like a week or two.
Yeah, my second favorite is definitely the pixie frogs. And these things will get so huge.
When I got the Pacman frogs and started having problems raising them, I was like, screw it. I'm going to get a pixie frog instead. Same big, girthy kind of frog, but kind of taking it to the next level.
Right.
We've talked about
it. It is definitely like next level.
And they're not even full grown. Zoidberg can get bigger. Zitz, the brown Pacman frog, is actually about full size for a male. And he's the only one in the house that makes noise. He'll croak. And you've heard it too.
I've heard it, yeah.
I remember it first happened when you were playing Fallout.
Yeah.
And I think it was like you'd click like the menu, and every time it would
make a
chiming noise.
Chiming noise in it, and it loved it, and it would always like
it would start croaking. It would start going off with that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the funniest thing. It sounds almost like a spaceship.
Yeah.
It's not even like a croak. But it's funny. I never get to catch him doing it, but I did one time, and it's like they have such a big, wide-set mouth, but he doesn't open it at all. His throat just like puffs up
that's
real
why they
big.
can take down mice and stuff.
Just have such a wide face that he just like
it's like the Thunderdome
in there. Yeah.
2 men enter, no man leaves.
Yeah.
Rated R. So there's so many different Pacman frogs. There's the green Pacman frogs. There's like the lesser spot Pacman frogs. I think it's called like a 4-spot Pacman frog. I think they have like patternless now. They have the Samurai Blue, which I like a lot. That's like the same color as like this shirt in a frog. So they're a little more expensive, but that's obviously because they're bright blue.
They're pretty new too, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they've been around a little while now, but they are more or less recently introduced.
Right.
And I've seen all white Pacman frogs, like crazy looking stuff. And Pacman frogs, they're not really that sought after.
No.
A baby Pacman frog, you can get one like between $15 and $25.
Sure.
Just boom.
I think I picked up cheddar for like 10.
Yeah, I
asked the guy like, hey, like, how about like $10? He was getting ready to leave, and I was like, dude, I'll take it.
You gotta hustle a little bit. Like, look, you can either take this back home and feed it and take care of it until you probably sell it, or I could just take it off your hands right now.
You get those end of the day deals.
Yeah.
You stay and you wait.
Well, fine, don't take my money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going next week too, so we'll definitely.
Yep, we're gonna do a live on location Repticon show, so be prepared for that. It's gonna be so much fun. But I think you were saying you might pick up another Pacman frog.
I think that's definitely what I'm gonna get. I've just been thinking about it lately, and
I mean, there's always options when you go to a reptile show.
Yeah.
You can actually pick up just about anything you want, but it's kind of within reason. Like, okay, I want this, 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 and this, and you show up there, and they only have this.
Right.
So it's like, okay, all right, like I'll take it, but it may or may not always be what you wanted, but it's one of the things, and you can easily obtain it.
Honestly, to like when you go there and you're not really sure about it, you're like, well, screw it, I'll get one of these.
You can shop it around. That's how it's happened for some of the animals here.
That's where I ended up like getting most of the pets that I liked the most, was just like off a whim, like
exactly.
Screw it. I'll get one of these, like it looks interesting, and it's just like Pacman frogs were funny to me. They were just the size of a quarter. And I was like,
yeah, they start out real small, and then they grow into this giant, puffy
cheeseburger,
massive frog. Yeah, and it seems to be a lot of people's favorite. Like, not many people think of the Pacman frogs,
right?
But they show up here, and it's like, oh yeah, I got a couple. They're like, what? Really? And they want to check them out, and then they see them. They're like, those are the coolest. Like, I love them. They just sit there, and it's like, yeah. And then like you like poke at them a little bit, they'll hop around. You know, they really don't do that much,
right?
But they're just so cool to have. I think they're really neat looking.
Yeah,
you know,
they're definitely cool little guys here.
And like I said, I had tree frogs, and I was tempted to buy a red-eye tree frog the other day. They had them at the Reptile store,
right?
And I was like I've had them before, and some have done some did well, and some not so much. So it's like, I don't know if I think I'll just wait for the show and see what they have there, and maybe down the line I'll get another red-eye tree frog. But there's the red eyes, and they even have the tiger stripe tree frogs. You remember those?
Right.
It looks like a big red-eye tree frog. It doesn't have the red eyes, but when it lifts up its arm,
it has
its whole side is like tiger stripes on this like green frog, and then it's orange and black under its arm. It's so cool looking.
Yeah.
And you know, I like clown tree frogs.
Well, those, like, the tree frogs is a whole nother like element. These just sit in the dirt, and they're funny.
They can't
like
climb.
Tree frogs are like, they'll have their little toes and stuff, and they'll cling to the glass.
You'll see like the pads all stuck up on there. Yeah. But these, they can't climb. They can't really jump.
No, they can't really do much.
They don't exactly do a lot, but they're so entertaining. I think.
I really love like the Pacman frogs, man. And the pixie frogs is just like. Just looks like a
that was round, the next step. You know,
is like a round pickle.
And the pixie frog is like a garbage disposal when it comes to food.
Yeah.
It will eat so much until you stop feeding it.
Well, like I think we talked about in the last episode how we went to Tim's house, and his wife had one, and we were just looking down at it, and they had it in this tank, and it was just. Like, you almost couldn't see it at first, and when you did, it was like this
humongous,
like, this fucking big. It was
huge,
dude. Like, and I was like, oh my god, I have to have one of those.
Yeah, what is that? Where can I buy one? Like, that's insane. So, I think this pixie frog is a female because the males are the ones that get super large. Yeah, females they tend to be a little smaller.
Isn't that crazy how just like some things like the females will be bigger and then the males will be bigger, but
that's kind of it's funny with the Pacman frogs. The males are smaller,
right,
and the females are bigger. So even just the difference in frogs, it's a complete opposite thing. Yeah.
What are you doing there? What are you doing?
That's funny. So I was saying I like clown tree frogs. They got like a marbled pattern to them, and I think they're just the coolest looking tree frogs. You know, there's obviously like the dumpy tree frogs, like the waxy monkey tree frogs, just big, fat, green tree frogs that are huge. And I thought about getting one of those too.
Oh yeah,
gigantic tree frogs, and you know, I definitely I think that was one of my first interests was amphibians, even before reptiles.
Reptiles,
you know,
amphibians,
I like newts, salamanders, frogs, like all types of frogs. You know, so many different kinds, and I learned a lot about them, and then it just coincided with all the reptile knowledge. Like, okay, I know frogs, I know lizards. You know, it just kept building from there,
right?
And I loved it, really.
This guy, I think he sees
Guar sees the
frogs over here, and
our bearded dragon's
he's going nuts,
running up against the glass, like, hey, what's that? Let me out. Yeah, we love Guar. He's definitely a star favorite for the bearded dragons. I only have two right now. I have Guar and VJ. Guar is a hypocitrus tiger, and VJ is a coral trans leatherback, and they're both really cool. I love having them. I mean, they definitely have a lot of personality. That's one of my favorite reptiles, just to have one as like, it's like almost like a buddy.
No, like I mean, like we were saying, man, they're like dogs. Like, this is bearded dragons is the ones that you would come home, you'd pick up and put it in your lap and just pet. Like,
yeah, you can go about your day and like do the dishes, and it'll like sit on your shoulder.
Right.
It's so funny to think about, you know. And I mean, I took out Rex, my Savannah monitor, the other night, and she just cuddled on my shoulder.
Right.
You know, I just had her slumped up there, and
so you're nice and warm.
I started scratching her neck, and she closed her eyes, and like, yeah, she was super happy. Sometimes she can be a little more timid. Like when she gets out and she's had enough, she'll start to like wiggle a little bit. But she just sat there the whole time, and
we'll bring her on the show.
Oh yeah, maybe later on I'll pull her out and we can get a good look at her.
Leopard geckos or something is going to be.
You thinking about maybe getting another gecko?
I mean, possibly, but you know, either a tarantula or a Pacman frog is going to be what I'm going to.
They're easy, super easy, and that's another thing is, same thing is like tarantulas and Pacman frogs are so dirt cheap. You know, you can pick up a number of different kinds.
But there's some of the best pets.
You break a $20 bill and you can bring home a new pet that is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to break the bank just to come home with something you really love.
My Pacman frog, I totally just underestimated like how funny it would be and like how awesome it would be to have one. I just picked one up and it changed everything.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go back to the leopard geckos. I've had those pretty much all my life. Right. That's one lizard that I know so much about. And right now I have about a dozen of them, and I have everything from patternless, tangerines, sunglows, normals. I have a hypo snow. I have albinos. I don't know if I said that already. I don't know.
I think you said it last week.
Yeah, so with all of them, I mean, they're really funny too. Like the kind of lizard that you walk in front of the cage and they'll look up at you, and follow you like across the room kind of thing. But they're so sweet, and they're great for like kids too.
Oh yeah.
They're not real bitey and flighty, and I mean, most of the time they'll just, as long as you got them sitting in your hand or on your lap, they may crawl around real slow. But otherwise, they tend to just sit still. And at least for me, I mean, I've handled all my leopard geckos since they were little to get used to being scooped up and everything. And like, once they're in your hand, maybe they feel like the warmth from your skin and they just like lay their belly down on it.
Who was the one who escaped?
Oh, I had a humongous male that had gotten out because it was in a stupid enclosure and it found its way out of it. And I changed it like immediately, obviously, but he got out and we tore apart the house, could not find him. And then we were supposed to go out skateboarding that night, and I was just so pissed. And you kind of turned to me in this like fit of rage I was having, and you're like, so you still want to go skateboarding? And I was like, yeah, fuck it. Like, I'm mad. I'm going to go like blow off some steam for a while. Sure. And you're like, okay, let me go like change into some shorts and let's go. And you go to pick up your shorts, and that freaking gecko fell out of those shorts in your room. And you're like, I found it! And you yelled across the house, and I probably took like 2 lunging strides from one end to the other, just flew in there and picked him up, and I was so happy. And then we went skateboarding and had a good time.
It was a good day.
So it really worked out. Like, if you hadn't said that, just like the chain of events that like unfold like that, it seems to happen that way for us a lot. And talking about escapees, let's talk about when Gumball, the Brazilian giant salmon tarantula, got out.
Yeah, that was terrifying. Like,
once again, it was in kind of a screwed up little enclosure. We were in between putting it into a bigger tank.
Yeah.
And
I don't even think it was a day, just kind of like temporary.
Yeah.
Little
and
setup.
There was a small hole. It was like a 1 or 2 gallon like fish tank, but it had a hole for the filter.
Yeah.
And we put clear tape over it, but the tarantula freaking chewed its way out. Like, I thought it would be, deferred from doing that because of the sticky tape, but I guess not. Oops.
Underestimate those things.
Yeah,
man.
so we come back the next morning, it's missing, and we're like, oh, fuck. Like, giant tarantula just got out. Like, damn it.
The biggest in the house.
Yeah. So
shit.
It had been, I want to say, like a month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
It took a long time.
Yeah.
And a friend of ours came over to the house. And it was so weird how it was set up because for us, we wouldn't have looked in the direction that he was looking, just hanging out, like watching TV on the couch.
Yeah, in the living room.
And he looked the other way and it was like, you guys have a tarantula crawling on the wall.
It was like crawling on the blind.
Yeah, we're like, oh, yeah, you know, tarantulas like to climb up the side of the glass. They do that all the time. He's like, no, I mean, like, it's right there. We're like, oh. So he turned and looked, and sure enough, there was Gumball, like, crawling up the bamboo shade. And we grabbed a Tupperware and, boop, just popped it against the wall and then slid up a piece of paper behind it and had him back in a tub, and we put him in a better enclosure, like right then and there. The thought of finding a tarantula somewhere in the house is just too much sometimes.
Yeah.
So I really haven't had too many other escapees, so I don't want people thinking I'm just like leaving open tanks everywhere where things can just crawl right out.
Well, when you have like 50, 60 different everything.
Yeah, I mean,
it's bound to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's even like the monitor lizards. You know, they're strong, so they can climb up and lift open a lid that has like weights on it.
Right.
And you'll still find them. Like, I came home one time and it was on the floor, and it's like, oh, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then you just walk right up and scoop it and just put it back.
I mean, it's going to happen. And it's probably happened to everybody.
I've come home and found a bearded dragon on, like, the trim of the tank. Like, they didn't quite get out, but they were ready to. So you're just like, no. And just, like, put them back in there.
Come on, guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, really? Trying to be funny. I get it. But things don't always just escape. I don't want people to think that. You know, as long as you got a sturdy setup and a nice lid for it, I mean, put a little weight on there, and they can't open it up as easily as people think.
I mean, fuck them, because, you know, it doesn't always happen, and, you know, like I said, it's happened to, I'm sure it's happened to most people.
Yeah, some people like to talk about it, and others may be embarrassed. You know, I don't want people to think I don't take care of my animals. Like, no, it's okay. Yeah, like, sometimes shit happens.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just with reptiles.
Yeah.
It follows you everywhere. I mean, finding out Chester was a girl after she laid eggs is like, that's an easy indication. After years of thinking it was a boy, it's like, well, shut me up. Like, you see it, you know, just certain things will catch you off guard and be
You'll always have that person who will say some shit about anything. It's the internet.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean,
yeah.
Stupid internet.
Yeah. Some 40-year-old guy behind his keyboard talking shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like, don't you have anything better to do with your time?
No, he doesn't.
Nope.
Fuck no, he don't.
No. So, let's talk a little bit about next week. We're going live on location to the Tampa Repticon show.
Yep.
And what are you looking to possibly pick up? Like, if you had a choice, if it was available, what are you thinking you're going to take home?
Nothing crazy, man. Like I said, I want to get, like, another maybe Pacman frog or...
What type of Pacman frog? Let's go a little deeper. If you had the choice and it was available...
I think, again, like I said, I would get an albino, like, apricot.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice.
So, I mean, that was
easy
the
to come
first Pacman frog I had, and I haven't had one in years, so I think
it's definitely easily obtainable, and they live forever, and they're just funny little critters.
Yeah, a couple bucks, and like, you know, I'm a little limited on space right now, so something just kind of to mess around with.
And that's another thing, is they don't require like 50-gallon tanks.
But you always know how it goes. You go like thinking, oh, I'm just gonna get like this one thing, and you end up with like 3.
Yep. And it's like, wow, I came in here with like $40, and you end up leaving with a ton of different animals.
Probably,
like,
honestly, I'll end up with like a tarantula and like a frog, maybe something else.
Okay, so albino apricot, Pacman frog.
For sure, yeah.
What kind of tarantula, if you had a choice, if it was available within your price range?
I've been thinking about it, you know, for a long time. I think I want to go with like another, like maybe pink salmon again.
The giant salmon, yes,
it just was my favorite, like, and that was like another first, like.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I have the one that I have now, is just because like that was the first one we were introduced to, and we learned so much about them from that tarantula. It's like I need to have one. So now if we both get one, I mean that's even better.
Yeah, and it just like. Going back to my roots, I guess. And
yeah.
You know, get one of each of those again. Maybe something different. I don't know. You know.
Yeah. What else? What else? Yeah. You got to just kind of walk around, and it's like something will catch your eye that you never owned or never thought to
and
own.
honestly, I think it might be something that I've never had. Like, you just never know when you go to that. I couldn't even tell you like what. You just have to go there. You will see in the next episode.
I mean, for me, I've had a couple of things on my mind. And first and foremost, I would love another hognose snake.
Okay.
I love another western hognose. It's been a long time, and you could pick up just... I'm not looking for anything spectacular. I just want the basic, run-of-the-mill western hognose.
Sure.
A normal, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
And they sell normals for like $40, $50.
Yeah.
You know, like... And it's a really cool snake. Right. I think that's... perfectly reasonable, right in my price range. Like, I'm not looking to spend $800 for a super conda. You know, they're so cool looking, and I'm not gonna lie, I think they're really pretty snakes. But I'm not looking for like an investment here. Like a lot of people that pay that much, they'll get them for breeding reasons.
Sure.
And add it to their collection. But I just want one to take care of and have.
Yeah.
Just because I think they're so amazing.
Well, so let me throw in there, like, if I do come across, like, a decently priced Jackson, I might.
Ooh, a Jackson chameleon. That's right. I mean, since I recently got the, once I got my veiled chameleons, I've kind of been satisfied with my chameleon fix, I guess you'd say.
All right, what else?
Okay, I'd like the hognose. Finding out that Chester is a girl... I may look for a male Asian water monitor, and even if it's a baby, you know, raise it for a few years and get it to a breeding size, and then by that time Chester will be even larger, so she'll be ready. And you know, this is wishful thinking. It's not something I'm just gonna like do and then like a year later it's like, hey, baby water monitors. Like, no. You got to give it time. You got to make sure they're at like the right state.
Yeah, you got to do it right
to breed them. So, I've seen, you know, as much as I'm not a big fan, the wild caught reptiles are really cheap. And
you got to be careful.
I know, exactly.
That,
you know, it kind of pulls your leg a little bit. Like, oh man, like, you know, a captive bred is so much sweeter, and you feel like you can maybe tame down a wild caught, but it's not always the case. You know, you can get them, and they could be very flighty, and they could be little assholes, and it's like, it's a thought. If they have a water monitor that may be a good price for what it is, and you know how it looks and all that, it's a thought.
Sure.
You know, it's not something that's like, oh, I'm buying a water monitor for sure. Like
maybe another tarantula?
I mean, obviously, we talked about tarantulas and Pacman frogs. I could definitely add one of those, you know. It's super easy to take care of them.
Yeah.
And honestly, I like the Pacman frogs, and I like that they have so many colors. And there are some that I would love to add and have as part of the collection, you know, a different color than what I've already had.
Right. You'll go to thinking you're going to get this and end up with something else. It's
well, then
like
you go there thinking, like, you have your mind set on one specific thing, and you get there and there's not a single one in the whole building.
That's happened quite
a few times.
Yeah. Like, damn it.
Yeah. Like,
so I'm hoping I don't go. I don't go there and there's like, oh, we're all out of Pacman frogs and tarantulas.
We sold that in the first 5 minutes. like, fuck. I got here after 10 minutes.
Yeah, like, and it's Saturday. It's not even the second day.
Yeah,
you fucks.
First day, first one sold.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh. So, yeah, Repticons most of the time are Saturdays and Sundays. And I at least try to go one of the 2 days, no matter what.
I mean, you can walk the whole thing in a couple hours.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, just looking around, seeing what's around at the show. My bad. So, the hognose, a water monitor, possibly, a tarantula,
you're thinking big.
A Pacman frog.
Yeah.
I'll buy it all. I'll buy the whole crew.
Yeah.
Why not? And maybe even a carpet python, if they have them there, if they're reasonable, you know. I might just pick up another carpet python because, honestly, between the maybe a blood python, because between the carpets and the bloods, those two are my favorite snakes. Mm-hmm. I love the carpet pythons. I love the blood pythons, and to add another one, hell yeah.
Sure.
That'd make me so happy. And it's something like, to have a broad sense of what you want to bring home, it gives you more of a chance to find something in that, you know, arena.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely excited about the show. We're going to go live with our cameras, and we're going to be doing the show on location. So it's very exciting. You know, we're taking it out of the little studio, whatever you want to call it, setup that we have now. And you're going to see a lot of different stuff. And for some people who've never been to a reptile show, it can be pretty intense. You know, like I said, some of the morphs that you see there are just every color, every pattern, everything amazing that you could imagine in a live animal. And I've said it before, like, that's the one of the things I love about getting different species is doing their enclosure and all the possibilities and
setting it up,
the ideas that can make it so beautiful.
It's half the fun.
And I call it a living painting because that's what it is. You know, it's like you could stare at it for hours and feel all sorts of different ways. You know, like they're just so amazing that you can make something for them to live in, and it's just so amazing to look at all the time. And that's, you know, one of the reasons I really love reptiles is it's not like a hamster where it's like bedding in like a toilet paper tube. you know,
never
like,
see it.
Yeah, like it's always sleeping, and it's like, damn it. But you look at, you know, I have the armadillo lizards in a tank where I did a bunch of clay, and there's arches and hides, and I was real proud of that, making like this big rocky terrain enclosure for just 2 little armadillo lizards.
Sure.
But I think it's just the coolest thing, and they really use it. You know, they'll hide in the corners and, you know, run around, and they got the heat. You know, it's a real desert terrain.
Yeah.
And it was really fun to make. And then I feel the same way for so many others. You know, you can just do it up no matter what it is, like tropical or a desert, or, I mean, even like, you know, medium. Like if you just were to walk outside, like, and mimic like some trees and
suburbia.
Stuff like that. The kind of reptiles you find walking through your neighborhood. Well, actually, one of our friends had a gigantic common Florida snapper, a snapping turtle, in their backyard, and that thing was bigger than like a basketball. And I took a picture with my hand on the back of its shell. Like I tried to stay far away from this thing. And
take your finger.
My hand on the back of its shell barely made an impact on like the size of this thing.
Right.
Just to show, like, for scale, it was huge. So it ended up crawling over their chain link fence and was in the backyard. And it was like, can't let the dog out now.
Yeah, hell no.
So we ended up grabbing it and kind of pushing it over the fence again, and it went into like the marshy swamp that's
behind their house,
past their backyard.
Right.
Yeah, but that was crazy. I mean, I've definitely had some wild encounters with a lot of different large reptiles here in Florida.
Yeah,
so that's interesting to me. It's
the swamps.
Yeah, never something I'd find in Chicago and suburbia. You know, like But here, I mean, people find chameleons, people find, obviously, alligators, tons of different kinds of snakes. you know, it's just a central hub for a lot of that stuff. They
This
can
guy's
free range.
super active right now.
Yeah, back to Guar, the bearded dragon. He wants as much footage and FaceTime as he can get on the show. He's trying to steal us away here.
Come here.
He just put his tongue on the glass. Bit.
Yeah, check this guy out.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe, hell, if I find a bearded
Another
dragon.
bearded dragon?
Yeah. They're such a great pet.
They really are.
It's like, I would not mind having another, like a baby beardy. They're so cute when they're babies, too. You know, they start to size up, they just chill out even more so. But a baby bearded dragon's another on the list. And, you know, of all the things that we've talked about,
Yeah.
y'all have to tune in next week and see what comes home with us.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to be walking around and checking everything out.
It's basically going to be a whole tour of the show, plus commentary, you know, showing you everything and anything that we come across. And hopefully y'all enjoy it as much as we do.
For sure.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up for you guys. It's been a fun episode, I think, so far. And we'll definitely have a lot more coming to you next week when we go to the Reptile show. That's Repticon in Tampa, Florida, obviously. And it should be really exciting. You guys can see, you know, what we really like. And we're going to show a little bit of everything. But definitely we're going to be talking about it as we're walking around and say hi to some friends and see if maybe they'd like to come on the show and tell us about their story while they're at it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So, you want to go ahead and plug some shit?
Oh yeah, Reptile Radio, Extravaganza, Instagram, Soundcloud.
Yeah, we just started an Instagram, so we're going to be posting pictures of everything that we talk about, and we even have some old pictures of some of our first reptiles that we can actually show you guys what we're talking about when we talk about it. And also more recent pictures, you know, on the daily basis. So check out the Instagram. We just put it up, and we're going to be posting a lot of different stuff on there.
And like and subscribe, it helps.
Yeah,
Kinda gross.
definitely subscribe.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to keep going with this, and if people like it, that's great. If not, fuck it. We're still going to do it.
Pretty much, yeah.
We're still having fun.
We're trying to crank these videos out once a week, so, I mean, you know, subscribe, and if you guys like it, keep doing it. We're going to do it regardless.
Yeah, because we're having too much fun with this.
Yeah.
Also, Reptile Radio Extravaganza at gmail.com. Send us emails, send us comments, send us stuff that you don't like, and we'll just tell you to shut up.
Yeah. Fuck off.
But I think we'd love to answer any questions, any comments that people leave. You know, we're more than open to doing that. And yeah, what else? Gmail, Instagram.
I wish I would have got that on the GoPro.
Yeah, right.
And on that note, I guess we'll end it. The pixie frog's
getting a little anxious, and we had to keep it in the tub. It wants to run away, so we'll probably put it back in its enclosure and keep it safe there.
Just squeaked over here.
Oh, they're squeaking up against the side of the containers. Their little slippery, wet feet. So this has been all about frogs, Pacman frogs. You know, we love them, and next week's episode's gonna be pretty intense.
It's gonna be a vlog. We're gonna vlog.
Yeah, I guess you can call it that. So Reptile Radio, we're on every platform. Check us out. You can hear the audio on SoundCloud. Mm-hmm. You can watch the videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna try and post on as many different things just to put it out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something I think we're gonna get 1 million views, and maybe we'll reach our 100th episode special. You know, if we keep it going, why not?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, you can just listen to us while you're doing whatever.
Listen to it at work. Listen to it when you're cleaning around the house. You know, put us on, and listen to our stupidity
For sure.
as we just talk about reptiles and other things that we love.
And this show's gonna forever be changing. We want to bring out more of the reptiles.
We're definitely going to try new things as we progress. Obviously, we're going to try and incorporate more animals and do more live videos. Us handling them and talking about them, obviously. And if there's stuff that we don't have, feel free to ask us about it.
Sure.
We do have a lot of endless knowledge that could be great or it could be useless. Some people already know exactly what we know, but I still think that if y'all have a question, if you think you're unsure, if you're interested in owning one of the pets that we do, ask us about it.
Yeah, like I said, you can email us or write us.
Find us, send us a DM on Instagram or whatever. I mean, we'll more than happily answer any questions that you may bring to us. So, once again, I'm Dan.
Brandon.
Signing off from the Reptile Radio Extravaganza. Yeah. We have the rarest frog species here. This is an Indonesian wood frog. I don't know if y'all have ever seen one of these before.